Hi, my name is Andrea Fortunoff, and I'm here at Fotofoto Gallery in Huntington, New York, and I'd like to introduce you to my new photo exhibition titled Wasted. Wasted is a series of photographs picturing the afterlife of abandoned objects in and around Washington County, Maine. These images catalog the decay of abandoned machinery and other designed objects, focusing on the things we thoughtlessly throw away, from cheap objects designed to break, to tools and machines made by highly skilled labor. They serve as evidence of waste, not just of our planetary resources, but a waste of human resources. Wasted uses the power of photography to look at the designed world in a new way, wherein automation and the tools used to increase efficiency and productivity are not benign. The relics in this series serve as a portal into the history of labor and the unintended consequences of designing an economy whose primary focus is to minimize human input into manufacturing. Ultimately, this series asks us to consider an object's life from design to creation to use and finally to abandonment. That boat was abandoned behind an abandoned house outside of Route 1 in Machias, Maine, a fishing community that has seen very, very hard times. And I just thought that that composition of the abandoned house and the way people used to make their living in that community was very timely and poignant. Those two images on the left were also shot outside of Machias, Maine. There was an abandoned gas station with an abandoned truck with a flatbed of 2 abandoned TVs and tires there, just sitting on the side of the road, and you could see actually reflected in the TV the cars going by on a bridge. The photograph below that is, you can see from the roofline just around the corner from the gas station was the owner's abandoned trailer and their washing machine, their appliance, their bed frame, and it's just those 2 photographs are a story of businesses lost and the hard times in this community. This cute little green bug was abandoned in the middle of a field, again behind another abandoned house outside of Machias on Route 1, and it was just, another casualty of the economy in that area. I just thought it was a very photogenic car. This image was taken in a scrapyard in Medibemps, Maine, and it's the signature image for the show because when I was there and looking at this, it really started me thinking about how all of these items are made that we throw away and the skilled labor that went into making it, the blue-collar jobs of great skill of all the machinists, tool and die makers, stampers, welders, all of these people who make these objects that we just carelessly throw away or have outsourced and no longer value the skills that make durable objects last for a long period of time. So I was kind of overwhelmed just looking at this heap of scrap here, and it really was the impetus for me taking the rest of the photographs in the series.
Good. Does it have a title specifically?
No, but it could be Medibemps Mess if you want to call it that.
Not everybody gives their images titles.
Yeah, I didn't really title this one.
I don't have this perfectly framed. Can you see it?
Yeah.
fair enough.
These 6 images were shot in 2 different places, but I grouped them together because they kind of had a domestic life of all of the things that were shot there. You know, some of them were shot in the Medibemps scrapyard, some of them were shot again in Washington County, Maine. The top one was actually shot at a friend's house there, the bus, who lives in Maine, a friend of mine who lives in Maine.
You live here?
In the bus, the bus. They drove that bus cross-country in 1969 and parked it.
It was their magic bus.
Yes, definitely was their magic bus.
Maybe they were me and Ken Kesey on the way.
Well, they were a pair of musicians, so.
Good for them, and that's on their property.
Yes, that is on their property.
But that's not their house below it.
No, definitely not their house. That was a house that was near Pembroke, Maine,
Right, okay.
also abandoned.
Now, the whole image is monochrome except for the door. Did you do that deliberately?
The door was that blue. I just kind of enhanced it
Okay.
a little bit.
I'm saying you turned it over the monochrome except for the door.
Yes, yeah. I felt, though that was an unpainted house. It was, you know, gray shingle, and it was pretty weathered and gray already. I desaturate the greens actually in most of these photos here because I want the signs of use to show up, and the greens are just so vibrant and overwhelming in Maine that they kind of take over the whole picture.
Sure. Yeah, look too happy. It would look too happy.
Yes, exactly.
So, you know, that's a set choice you make, you know, so.
The truck on the right, that actually has a title. That one's called Scorched. And that truck was, again, in Medibem Salvage Yard. And it was, if you look inside, it was obviously set on fire. And inside the truck, which you can't see, unfortunately, because they're black, was just piles of bikes. And out of the frame, there were also some other piles of burnt bikes. But there was one in the front that wasn't burnt, and I just, you know, this was a little bit, I felt there must have been some kind of story behind how this truck ended up here, and so I took its photo.
Well, you're always interested in knowing the story behind the photo, not only how the photograph was taken by the photographer, but how that object came to be there.
Yes.
And we don't know that.
The shopping carts, I call immoderate shopping, another one with a title. This was, again, in Medibem Salvage Yard, and this was only part of a huge mound of abandoned shopping carts. And it was late in the day, and the sun was very low in the horizon, and I felt this was kind of a consumer culture comment, we'll put it that way, I did convert this.
They want us to buy every year.
Yeah, I converted this to monochrome because I felt that it was.
A shot of the setup here and how we do it
Oh, okay.
for posterity.
These 2 images were also both taken in the Medibemps Salvage Yard, and you know, the happy birthday cookie tin there was not staged. It was actually there, just like that, with the flowers growing through it, and it was a small part of a huge mound of other abandoned objects. The one below it was a huge pile of brake rotors, and really just emblematic of the fact how we do not value the work that it takes to make precision parts, and we don't even value the engineering that goes into putting all of the complex things that we use every single day together, and the fact that the way we have been designing these objects has changed. We no longer design them for durability, and we no longer design them to be fixed by skilled labor. We are trying to just mechanize everything and cut the human being out of the picture in terms of making it. And I really feel that a lot is being lost by doing that.
Interesting.
Not just lost in terms of losing these things in a dump, but I think you're dehumanizing the economy to a certain degree.
I agree. Dehumanizing it, but I think the people who are doing it, and this is, I'm coming from their perspective, being a devil's advocate, is that they don't want humans to work on boring assembly jobs. That's just their opinion. They want to automate everything, have every factory totally automated, and just sell products. But they forget that these factories once supported a thriving middle and working class. And how are you going to employ these people so they can buy your product that you're manufacturing, your automatic?
Well, I don't think these jobs were skilled labor is not so boring. And I think that that's an excuse.
A lot of factory jobs are.
I think, well, because a lot of the metalwork has been mechanized to the point where a lot of the manufacturers don't want to pay the price for human labor, for a skilled laborer. And they want to reduce the manufacturing to a way where you can use unskilled labor throughout the process and just use a robot to do the skilled part.
Sure.
And you know, working with your hands is a prehistoric human skill. That's how we got here. And to cut it out of the economy completely, I really feel is a mistake.
Well, I agree. I'm just was being the devil advocate.
Oh, okay.
Why it's happening. And why it's happening is to reduce costs, make products cheaper and more affordable. But at the cost of what's the human cost?
We really hurt ourselves. We hurt ourselves in the long run, I think. That's a very short-term way of looking at it. Because typically the people who do handwork are at the lower end of the economic spectrum. And so by making things, you can say, well, we're making things affordable, but at the same time, we're cutting out all their jobs. So how is that really making it affordable for them if they can't get a job where they're doing anything but unskilled labor, which pays minimum wage?
Right, there's costs in